तीसरे चरण का दिन है। मैं देश भर के सभी मतदाताओं को और गुजरात के मतदाताओं को भी मन से विनती करना चाहता हूं कि बढ़ चढ़कर लोकतंत्र के इस महोत्सव में हिस्सा ले। स्थिर सरकार, सुरक्षित देश, समृद्ध देश, गरीब कल्याण और भारत गौरव को समर्पित एक सरकार चुनिए। एक ऐसी सरकार चुनिए जो भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ हो, गरीबी का उन्मूलन करना चाहती हो, आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनाना चाहती हो, विकसित भारत बनाना चाहती हो और पूरे विश्व में हर क्षेत्र में भारत को नंबर 1 ले जाना चाहती हो। आज इतनी चिलचिलाती धूप के बावजूद भी अब तक बहुत उत्साहजनक वोटिंग के ट्रेंड मिल रहे हैं। जहां तक गुजरात का सवाल है, करीब करीब 20% वोटिंग 2.5 घंटे में ही गुजरात के मतदाताओं ने समाप्त किया है। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है देश भर में आज जहां जहां मतदान है वो सभी मतदाता और गुजरात के मतदाता एक ऐसी सरकार चुनेंगे जो स्थायित्व भी देगी, सुरक्षा भी देगी, समृद्धि भी देगी, गरीबी से मुक्त भारत बनाएगी। मैं आज के लोकतंत्र के इस पर्व के अवसर पर सभी देशवासियों को बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूं और फिर से एक बार पुरजोश वोटिंग कर लोकतंत्र के इस पर्व में हिस्सा लेने की अपील करता हूं। आज देश में तीजा चरणનું मतदान છે। गुजरातनी વધેલી 25 से 25 सीटों पर आज मतदान થવાનું છે। હું ગુજરાતની જનતાને અને વિશેષ કરી ફર્સ્ટ ટાઈમ વોટરને અપીલ કરવા માંગુ છું। કેવી સરકાર માટે આપણે સૌ વોટિંગ કરીએ જે દેશને સ્થિરતા આપે, सुरक्षा आपे, समृद्ध बनावे, गरीबीनु संपूर्ण उन्मूलन करे अने विकसित अने आत्मनिर्भर भारतनी रचना करे। एक एवी सरकार आपणे चूंटीए जे समग्र विश्व में दरेक क्षेत्र में भारत नंबर 1 बने एवी सरकार અને એવા પક્ષ માટે આપ સૌ વોટિંગ કરો એવી મારી આપ સૌને અપીલ છે। લોકશાહીના આ મહોત્સવમાં સૌ ગુજરાતીઓ દર વખતની જેમ રંગે ચંગે ઉત્સાહથી ઉમંગથી ભારી સંખ્યામાં વોટિંગ કરે અને અંતે આપનું વોટિંગ જ ભારતના વિજયનું કારણ બનશે એનો મને વિશ્વાસ છે। वंदे मातरम। खूब खूब शुभेच्छाओं।
So Amit Shah urging voters from across the country, also including all across Gujarat, to come out and vote in large numbers. A quiet confidence being exuded by the BJP. Let's swing back bring it back into the studio and also Smita Prakash weigh in on the aspect of not one clear message from the BJP like Achhe Din or Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat and Ghuch Ke Marenge in 2019. In 2024, it's been a little all over the place. And because the opposition has not projected a prime ministerial candidate, does it then become more localized than centralized? That's what Rahul Shankar was saying, Smita Prakash, and then we'll bring it back into the studio to Javed Ansari, Nistula and Zaka. Yeah.
Okay, so what happened was that when it started off, it seemed like a Thanda election. But now it's literally a controversy a day. Now, what Rahul is saying is that the messaging from the BJP seems a reaction-based one to what the Congress manifesto is. In a way, echoing probably what Chidambaram wrote in an op-ed to say that the hero of, I mean, that's his words, that the hero of 2024 Lok Sabha is the Congress manifesto is what he wrote. Because he says from April 21st, if I'm not mistaken, he says that the BJP changed track and brought in Mangal Sutra, Muslim reservation, etc. Rahul, the way I see it is that the interpretation of the manifesto by Rahul Gandhi, by Sam Pitroda, and subsequently by others in the Congress is so insidious that the BJP realized that whatever the messaging they had planned for 2024 polls is not as potent a fighting of ideas, a fighting of as potent what should I say, messaging as fighting the ideas propounded by Rahul Gandhi, which is wealth redistribution, reservation for Muslims in the name of quotas for SC, ST, lifting the cap on reservations, empowering a certain section by taking away wealth from a certain section. So, I think that though this might not have been the original plan, the interpretation of the manifesto by Rahul Gandhi has become the talking part of it. Whether it's a knee-jerk reaction by the BJP, I think that fear factor that the BJP has put कि तुम्हारे सारे पैसे निकाल देंगे, corporate tax, ये मंगलसूत्र, एक buffalo, एक घर, दूसरा घर, all that they have done, I think has resonated. That's what it seems to me, but we can't be certain. If it's local issues that are playing up, agreed, local issues are playing up because after 10 years, you can't again have a single messaging. I think it's difficult to come up with a single messaging. Single messaging should be that we have delivered on what we had promised, almost all our promises. But then that's not good enough, right? It's not good enough to say, mostly people want that sentimental thing when they go to vote, the undecided voters. The decided voters, which I believe what analysts say is that most people have decided at least a month before elections whom they're going to vote. That swing voter is what everybody is trying to get, which could be about 30 to 40 seats at this stage.
How much is rational, how much is emotional?
No, what I wanted to ask was, there was an emotional issue. 22nd of January, Ram Mandir was supposed to be the emotional issue. Why has that not played out in the way that the BJP was hoping? At least it's not reflecting in the voter turnout numbers.
Isn't it fascinating? I mean, that's what everybody had thought. Look at the thought process of political analysts in February and the thought process of political analysts by end April, early May. It's completely changed. I mean, as far as the Hindu vote is concerned, that consolidation which a mandir was supposed to happen did not happen. Similar to when the Babri Masjid was pulled down, a consolidation of the Muslim vote didn't happen. Many of us tend to think that a mandir or a masjid is so hyper important in the mind of Hindus as a political issue. It's not. It's important, yes, as something which is spiritual, religious, all that, yes. But for it to translate into a vote, it is extremely hard, which L.K. Advani also realized decades ago, a couple of decades ago, that yes, Sure.
Just a small